one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 10th meeting of Wilkes-Barre City Council. The clerk call the roll, please.
Mr. Barrett?
Here.
Mr. Belishko?
Here.
Mr. Mirren?
Here.
Mrs. McClay?
Here.
Mr. Brooks?
Here.
Also in attendance is Mayor George Brown, Controller Tony Thomas, Administrator Charlie McCormick, Assistant City Attorney Maureen Collins, Assistant City Clerk Tracy Smith, and Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. Good evening and welcome to tonight's regular session of Council. Please turn off all cell phones. Following are examples of some important council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Please adhere as closely as possible to the 5-minute speaker presentation time limit. No persons are allowed to address the council from beyond the rail, except the speaker at the dais who has the floor. The chairperson shall preserve order and decorum and prevent attacks on personalities. Chairperson shall determine all points of order. No person except city officers or their representatives shall be permitted within the rail during any meeting without the express permission of council. Council kindly asks that the public please vacate the building within 10 minutes after the meeting adjourns. And finally, when members of the administration are speaking, please stand up and use the microphone. He's too late.
Can I get a picture?
You're too late, Bob.
There are 7 items on the agenda for this evening. Is there any comments on pending legislation? Yes, Jerry. Dear.
Can I sign it?
Meeting started already.
It's 6 o'clock. I was in the building.
I still have to.
Chairman.
You, Tony.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob. Sign in.
Angel Mathis, Wilkes-Barre.
I want to speak too on what's going on.
Angel Mathis, Wilkes-Barre. I know I always come up and I'm looking at the item with the city officials doing the pass-through to King's College. You know, if you ask me as a resident, I think it's kind of tone deaf, given the fact that President Trump wants to actually, actually is in the process of cutting $581,114,817 from the Pennsylvania state budget. And it's like, it's ridiculous for them to even ask for, you know, $750,000 for their student, for a grant, when quite honestly, you know, if everything goes through Washington, we won't even be able to feed our kids in school. And, you know, just vote no. I know it's a pass-through, but given the time and the financial situation of this country, please vote no.
Anyone else on pending legislation? Yes, Sam. Sam's next, Bob. Go ahead, Mr. Troy.
Yeah, I have a few comments here spread around. Excuse me. As you know, I always, regular as clockwork, speak out against the suspension of the alcohol ordinance, open consumption of alcohol beverages for both the Fine Arts Fiesta and the Rock in the River. And the Rock in the River is for how many? Oh, there's what, 3-4 concerts here. And I reiterate what I said. Not just because I'm a teetotaler, but I think it's unnecessary. I mean, why do we have to have alcoholic beverages? Because certain people can make a lot of money and certain people can get soused, and police will have more to do, I think, generally speaking. And maybe some wives, spouses will get beaten. Who knows as a result of that? We don't know. Maybe somebody will go out and get too much booze and get into an accident. I mean, the downside of drinking and consumption of alcoholic beverages is pretty well documented. I don't think I have to go into that. But I just like to see somebody out of the 5 of you would have the courage to vote this thing down. I mean, why have an ordinance, Mayor, or anybody on council? Why do we bother having these ordinances if every time somebody wants to have an event, it's they suspend them? Suspend the ordinance, I mean, to allow the drinking. I don't see why it's impossible to have a good time without alcoholic beverages. Serve punch, serve lemonade, whatever. Power shake. I can make a good power shake. I can maybe open a little stand there. Be a lot more healthful. Anybody interested? Well, guess not. Anyway, I have a couple other comments. I'm glad to see. I'm all in favor personally of upgrading parks and playgrounds, and I'm glad to see this is happening. Mayor Brown, I guess, was the force behind this, and he should be commended for that. I don't know. I guess Stell Enterprise was the lowest bidder there, right? Lowest responsible bidder. You guys, before you go ahead with this, I don't know, you might want to talk to the school district, because I don't know how many millions of dollars they gave Stell. And I don't know if they're completely satisfied with the work Stell did. With that new high school and the $25 million they spent on the athletic facility, I think Stell had a large hand in that. It might not be a bad, I guess you're kind of familiar with their work, but it wouldn't hurt to call it. But I assume that money's going out of the general fund, $431,000. I know it's already been consigned, but is it coming out of the general fund, or don't you know? Maybe you can answer when you have a chance. And also, I want to speak against if you can refresh my memory on the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program. Now, I know the city still acts as a conduit, correct, for that money? That's why you guys have to approve it. Conduit for that money. It's already been approved, I guess. The Department of, it's not been approved? So assuming that you guys approve it, though, then it will go through, right?
Nope.
You know, I think that the city panders too much. Certain public officials might be pandering. That's a good word. Pandering to special interests such as Kings and Wilkes for years, and we go out of their way for them. And I think in excess, it's overkill. And I would like to see something done in return. Perhaps, I think I mentioned this last time, you know, how many times and how many ways the city has gone out of its way to help Kings and Wilkes with various projects. The latest thing was the nursing thing at Wilkes. So in return, they could perhaps do something like give local people a tuition break, or allow parking late at night on their lot. Perhaps donate a little more in the pilot program, the payment in lieu of taxes program, than they are, because their properties are worth God knows how many millions of dollars, and they're only paying a drop in the bucket. And the last comment I have, with a little time remaining, so you give me more time here, Tony. I'm glad to see that I would like to see more specifics, and if it's possible, how is the city going to promote earth-friendly foods, and what do you mean by earth-friendly foods? I hope it's a vegetarian sort of thing. That's Stan and I agree, right, Stan? I don't know if that's what you mean by earth-friendly foods. Healthier food system. I mean, this is very commendable. Was this the mayor's suggestion or council? But anyway, I'm glad to see that, and I hope more specifics can be provided. And I hope maybe that when this does come around April, well, that's coming up already, maybe the citizens could have some sort of input on just what constitutes earth-friendly foods and a healthier food system. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Sam. Bob, next.
Bob Kalabowski, I'm here once again too. I know you're not going to be happy with what I'm going to say, but Sam touched on a couple things that I was going to bring up about Kings. And I know Kings does a lot of nice things for the city. And one thing Sam brought up is about getting them to pay more money towards helping the city, especially with the fire protection, police protection we give them. But what bothers me about Kings is, and I brought this up over a year ago, that they conspired, some people in King's College conspired, along with the Layton administration and law enforcement, which cost the taxpayers of the city of Wilkes-Barre $2 million. So we had to pay Tom Greco plus whatever they had to pay him. But it irritates me that we're like a shill to them. Come over here, we're gonna help you people now. Help us, help us. Well, what I asked you people when I was here probably over a year ago, can't we make them pay part of our legal expense, what they cost the taxpayers of the city by conspiring
Mr. Kalbowski, please stick to the agenda.
Well, I am, but
That's not on the agenda. What's on the agenda is a grant let King's College apply for a grant in Harrisburg for their student center.
right, but what I'm saying,
You agree with that or not?
well, do I agree with it? Well, I'm going to tell you how I'll agree with it, and I don't want to get thrown out. I know you got the policeman here just waiting to throw me out, but you got to understand. I understand, and I'm glad he's standing there, because people standing behind me with a gun makes me really nervous, believe me. But my point is they cost us, King's College cost the taxpayers of this city, I don't know how much, for that lawsuit. And what I'm saying is, if they want us to help them again, let's let them come up to the table here and pay some of our legal expenses. And I'm not trying to be smart. It just, see, when you're in business, which I've been in business, and I know how things go, they cost the taxpayers, which is the taxpayers' business, by conspiring with the last administration, Leighton. And my thing is, I don't know if you could ask your attorney there, I brought it up, but I never did hear an answer. Why can't we get them to pay us back? They want our help now. Well, let's help them. But let's get them help us by paying some of the money back that it cost us in legal fees. Because if they didn't conspire with the Leighton administration and law enforcement, and you know why I could say that till I'm blue in the face? Because guess what? The documents are there to prove it. They didn't hand Tom Greco millions of dollars because they're trying to be nice to him. They paid him millions of dollars because King's College, as far as I'm concerned, some of them over there, they're like the Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours. They're like gangsters. They conspired, and the only thing, it just irritates me personally, and should irritate every taxpayer in this city, that they portray themselves as this great college, which they probably are, but yet they cost us money because they went into this conspiracy to destroy that man, a businessman, and I just was wondering, is there any way that we could get them, before we do this, to say, hey, here's how much we had to pay in deductibles, this is what it cost us in premiums to go up, and pay some of that. And I'm not doing it with hatred, it's just a business thing. And as far as I'm concerned, what they did, they're a bunch of mafia people, they're gangsters. What they did to that man, they tried to destroy him, he's still in business, plus he got millions of dollars. And my thing is, before you go along with this, let's see if we can get them to pay what it cost us. That's what I would like. And I know you aren't going to answer me, and I know you're not going to try to do nothing. So, now, the next part of the meeting, will I be able to talk again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for letting me talk. I did rush down here. I was in the building at 6 o'clock, and if we had to go to federal court, I could prove it. But it's nice that you let me talk, and I appreciate it. And that's what yesterday at the meeting, they said, anybody that got here late, you could come up and talk. And that's what you should do here. You should make some exceptions. When somebody works all day, if they get here a few minutes late, let them talk. And I thought it was very nice of you to let me do that, and you'll be going home in your own automobile because I won't tow it away.
Thank you, Mr. Kalbowski. Anyone else on comments on pending legislation? Good, thank you.
Okay, now we'll need a motion and a second on the consent agenda, resolutions and minutes, which there's 6 resolutions and 1 minute from the last council meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barrett,
Second.
second by Mr. Belishko. Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mr. Belishko?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Mrs. McClay?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Council presentations, Councilman Belisco.
Charlie, I just been made aware of this, and I'm going to send you a photo of it. I guess, I know, I was there. A tree had fallen down in Solomon's Creek at the end of Schuler. Rotted away, but the whole thing's in there, and it will definitely restrict water in a high water event. It's going to be an issue. I was there for quite a while, and I have several photos of it. We need to address it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
She got to get the door. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Councilman Barrett.
I handed out a picture, you can disregard that. Mr. McCormick is already on top of that. I'm very grateful for. It's a picture of a building on George Ave, in case you were wondering what it was. But thank you. I appreciate you looking into it, and no need to get into that. Just a quick comment, the signs coming into the city, I don't know if anybody noticed them. Good improvement, they look great. I know they're a little bit, not neglected, but they're a little bit dated and worn a little bit, so they look nice, and especially at night with a little lighting on it. Good job. And I know River Street by the General Hospital is a state road, I believe, correct? But it's pretty rough. Maybe we can reach out to them, and you literally have to drive on the wrong side of the road unless you don't like your car. So maybe we can just ask them. That one area between, literally alongside the hospital, between the hospital and the cemetery is especially bad.
They just did utility work, that's why. So there's all utility.
I don't know about.
It is, the
That
whole
might be their
section.
excuse, but it's looking pretty
Yeah,
rough. But
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Marin.
Yes, I noticed you painted some crosswalks near GAR, and there's a lot around that area that need to be done. Also, the Heights Elementary, Rose Lane, and South Grant, there's no crosswalks there, and also a very important one, Park Ave and East South Street. There's a lot of traffic issues there with pedestrians, and hopefully we can get them taken care of along with some other issues around that area. And also, I guess I got a complaint today. They were cleaning Empire Street, and they didn't put up any signs a few days before, and they just went around some cars. I'm not really sure what happened there. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Councilwoman McLean.
Just a few things. So I received a call about the Mill Creek wall by Sydney Street. Are we aware of a hole there? Okay. So I did not get to take a look at it yet, but I will definitely go take a look and then send you pictures if there is a hole there. Okay. And then just kind of back to the whole garbage thing. So in my area, and I don't know if everybody else has this, I've noticed that they are using contractor bags. And this is not just random households. This is almost every household. So now the bags are more than half my size. So are we sure that, is it profitable to continue with the stickers versus the bags where we knew they can only stick 2 white bags in it? 'Cause, I mean, just in general, I know my neighbors have gone from putting out 10 bags to 3 bags. So they're clearly putting 10 bags into 3 bags. So I'm just wondering if that is something we've looked at?
Whether we should change back?
Yeah, I mean, are we making a profit on the stickers, or are we just more than we were with the
They're
bags?
significantly less expensive, yeah.
Okay,
And the other problem with, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
It's significantly less expensive, and with the variation in costs of anything that's produced, we've taken that out of the arrangement also. The other problem is to go back to another system, what was that,
Right.
2 years ago maybe, is going to be extremely confusing. We really haven't had any problem with this. Now, the weight, what we do there is if they overweigh it, they can have a bag, but as long as I think it's 40 pounds.
Okay.
And, they don't have a weighing machine in the
Right.
back of the truck, but they're pretty used to what weighs, and they'll just leave anything that's too heavy. So if people are jamming it in and it's very heavy, they won't pick it up.
Perfect.
And we've had complaints on that.
Okay.
That we haven't picked it up. So,
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. All right, thank you.
Limit of bags.
Yeah. Do we have a limit on
Do we have a
bags?
limit of those? A limit of bags you can put out?
Okay.
Something to think about.
Yard waste there is, but.
Yeah, yard
I
waste
don't
is
believe
5
garbage.
cans, I know
Yeah,
that.
I don't believe garbage.
Yard waste only.
There might be. I'd have to look.
I'll look into it.
I can look it up for you, Jesse.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, thank you. For me, I just want to thank the mayor for yesterday and our clerk here for providing this room as a forum for the PUC. As you might have seen in the newspaper, there was a tremendous turnout for that, and a lot of elected officials spoke, as well as consumers of UGI, and let's hope that they listen to the public. Public comments, April Holler, Oregon Street.
Hello. I'm here to speak in response to the mayor's recent comments. So, April Caller. The recent comments in the newspaper regarding the portrayal of homelessness in our city, specifically his assertion that citizens are sensationalizing the issue and that some individuals prefer to live in the woods in squalor. First and foremost, it is essential to recognize that homelessness is a complex and multifaceted issue that affects real people with diverse backgrounds and experiences. To suggest that homeless individuals choose to live in squalor oversimplifies their circumstances and undermines the systemic factors that contribute to their situation. Many individuals facing homelessness are grappling with challenges such as mental issues, substance abuse, job loss, and lack of affordable housing. These are not choices. Furthermore, sensationalizing homeless is not the goal of those advocating for change. Rather, it's the intention to shed light on the harsh realities that they already face by bringing attention to the situation. By bringing attention to the situation, we aim to foster understanding, compassion, and ultimately action. It is crucial to engage in conversations about the homeless rather than dismissing it. Ignoring or downplaying the severity only causes a cycle of stigma and misunderstanding. Additionally, your comments perpetuate harmful stereotypes and stigmas that further alienate our most vulnerable citizens by framing homelessness as a lifestyle choice. You ignore the systemic barriers that contribute to this crisis. It is not sensationalism to highlight the dire conditions that many of our homeless residents endure. It is a call to action. We must confront the reality of the situation with empathy and commitment to finding solutions rather than dismissing what is being witnessed as mere sensationalism. Moreover, your comments reflect a broader social issue, the tendency to dehumanize those who are less fortunate by framing homelessness as a lifestyle choice. You strip away the dignity of those who are suffering and reduce them to mere statistics. Instead of deflecting responsibility and dismissing the voices of advocates, it is imperative that we engage in a meaningful dialogue about how to address homelessness in our community. As of recent, your comments reflect a troubling lack of empathy and understanding, and it's time to listen to the voices of those who are advocating for change rather than belittling their concerns. The citizens of this community deserve better leadership, one that prioritizes compassion and action over indifference and denial. Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Shame on you, Mayor Brown.
Hey,
Shameful.
Please.
Well, first of all, my comment, and you said it 4 or 5 times, sensationalizing. I said that because the gentleman that made the statement, okay, sensationalized what he saw. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If you saw the pictures, or if you were over along the river and saw what the 2 encampments had done over there and put my firefighters and my police officers in danger, going over there at night with no lights and trying to walk between buckets of feces, buckets of urine, needles, and everything else that was over there that's going to create a safety hazard for these people that are trying to provide first aid and try to help them out. Yeah, I think I did the right thing, and I would do it again. And no, wait.
You were there.
Hey. This is a
Tony,
public.
am I going to be able to
Please.
talk here?
Yes.
We
Talk.
moved those people.
Tony,
Hey,
am I going to be able to...
one at a time. I thought you wanted to have a respectful conversation. Please. Hey! Sir.
Shameful.
Please continue. Please continue, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, hold up.
Absolutely inhuman you're treating our neighbors here. Absolutely disrespectful.
All right.
You should be ashamed of yourself. This council should be ashamed of yourselves by the way you treat the most vulnerable people in our communities.
Okay, these people are, before they're moved out, before these people are relocated, they're given adequate time to grab their personal belongings. Excuse me. They're given adequate time to remove their personal belongings, and then they're given adequate notice as to places to go that they can get shelter, clothing, and food.
But can that?
Tony, can I please finish?
Yep, please continue, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I've seen it. I've had people come to me saying, Mayor, we've walked along the walkway. A gentleman came out with a switchblade after some of the people that were walking along the walkway. You can shake your head. But I'm telling you something. I've gotten people that came to me and said that, okay? And I have people that our police force, like I said, our fire department and DPW, what they had to deal with in cleaning up that site, there was a dump that was created over there. A dump that was so large, it took us a couple days to clean it up. It was a mess over there. And this is a park. This is a park where people go to, and they go to enjoy the park along the river, yet they're in danger of going back there. Now, I've provided more resources than any other mayor in northeastern Pennsylvania to provide housing, shelter for the homeless. I provided, as the mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre, over $300,000 for a place for people to go that are homeless, that can get showers, that can get cleaned up, that can get clean clothing, that can get counseling, that can get other resources. That's what we provide as the city of Wilkes-Barre. But I am not going to allow people to be put in danger because people are camping out along the river. And also, yes, if people want help, there is help there for them. If they don't want help, there's nothing I can do about it. But I am not going to allow the officers, the police officers, the fire department, and DPW to go over into that area to try to lend aid to people that are in need. Fires are over there. Our firemen are trying to fight fires at night. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. I got a report from our DPW department. Literally, there were buckets of feces, buckets of urine, needles, and other hazards over there. So I'm not allowing our people that are trying to lend aid to go over there and have to fight that at night when it's dark out. Yes, they were removed from there. They were given adequate time to move their belongings out. Whether you believe it or not, they were given adequate time. It was done in an orderly manner, the same way we did it before, and the same way that, I don't hope we don't have to do it again, but if we have to, it'll be done the same way.
Can I ask if you were there personally?
Ma'am, I saw pictures. All right, you could be there. I saw photos, I saw pictures, I got reports.
Were you
All
there?
right, please.
Tony, I think I responded.
I think you did.
And if you think I'm doing something wrong, that's your opinion, okay? But I think as the mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre, I took the responsibility to make sure it's safe for people to go over in that area.
Thank you, sir. Next, Anthony Farah.
Anthony Farah. I'm kind of disgusted by Mayor Brown's comments. The safety of the people are the people living there that are homeless. Obviously, we don't want people living in the woods, right? We need to help them in a humane way. You know, kicking them out on the street that after they have an established camp is not a humane way of dealing with things. You know, it's hard to work with other organizations and get these people help that they need, but not relying on our police force here to put up notices and kick them out within 2 days. How would you like it if you got kicked out of your house after maybe 1 or 2 days' notice? This is not a humane way of dealing with things. I was hoping never to come here again, but based on these comments, I'm really disappointed in the mayor. I mean, there's a right way of doing things and there's a wrong way, based on how I was raised as a Catholic. And this is not the city I would like to live in, that treat our most vulnerable like this. Mayor Brown's patting himself on the back of this pile of refuse that he created by moving this encampment. The construction company that they hired to clear the encampment created this pile. It was a mixture of dirt and tent and tarps that they removed because they couldn't remove everything in the same amount of time. Regardless, it's about saving people's lives, and kicking people back on the street is not going to save them their lives. They're overdosing. They might resort to drugs because of their situation, a way of coping with it. There's a psychological toll that comes with being homeless, and not knowing if the police are going to come to your camp while you're gone, maybe looking for food or going to these soup kitchens, coming back and you're finding nothing left. It's into a large pile. These people are not choosing to live in the woods. They're not going on some getaway retreat from their house in Barney Farms. They live out there. This is all that they have, and we're stripping them of the very little that they have in this world. And there's ways of solving for it, and I'm pretty disappointed in the city. And I hope that you'll take this and improve upon it. But if you're going to do it again, then we'll be here again. If you're going to keep people out of the one place that they live, then we'll be here to support them and to speak for them on their behalf, because you're not going to see homeless people coming here in front of city council. They don't have the time, they don't have the resources. They're being targeted. People see how the cops treat our homeless community, and they take it upon themselves maybe to abuse homeless people, either through assaulting them or maybe trying to hit them with their car. And we need to end making the same mistake and worsening their situation, and the psychological toll that we're putting on our homeless people, that we're dehumanizing, and end sweeps. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I know the mayor wants to say something. If I may, 1 second, just before you do. It's very easy to come here and talk about the homeless situation. It's not unique to Wilkes-Barre. It's not unique to Luzerne County. It's not unique to Pennsylvania. It's across the country. I don't care where you go. Big cities, little cities, wherever you go. And it's very easy to stand here and talk about it because we're all aware of it. We all know what's going on. But the mayor has provided solutions. He's provided solutions. The city has provided solutions and resources. When we hear people step up to the podium and start talking about the problem, we're aware of the problem. And I understand it's upsetting to the people that are there, but in my opinion, it's much worse to let that continue because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse when we let it go. We've seen that time and time again. And this mayor and this administration has stepped up and put money towards it, came up with resources. We need solutions. Solutions are there. We're all aware of the problem. We've all seen it. I've seen it firsthand. He's seen it firsthand. He knows what it is. We're all aware of what it is. It gets worse. So do we let it continue? People are saying, oh, we should let them alone. Just let them. That's not the solution. The solution is not to let it continue. We understand that it's difficult for some people, and some people don't want help. And nobody's kicking anybody out on the street. No, we're taking them out of a very hazardous situation, giving them resources, give them warning. No one's going over there by surprise in the middle of the afternoon and taking the little bit that they do have away. But they are going over there with resources and information and opportunities. And some people don't want to be helped, and you're aware of that. Some people do not want to be helped. They want to live there, but that is a city park. It is a city park. It's not up on some mountaintop someplace out of the middle of nowhere. It's in a city park. If we let that continue and don't do anything about it, then shame on us.
Mr. Mayor.
All due respect. All due respect, when you made a statement about police and how they, I think you said abuse or try to hit them with their cars, or I'm not exact. What did you say?
I was referring to citizens that take it upon themselves to abuse homeless people. based on the actions of citizens are abusing homeless people or degrading homeless people based on what they see us do as a city and treat them.
Okay, I just want to qualify, none of our police.
No, I'm not suggesting that.
And we actually created a new department called community policing. And the community policing officers, they engage the homeless. They ask them, do they need help? They ask them, what can we provide for you? That's part of the community policing department that we created under Sergeant Steve Latta. And they're out there, and they do engage the homeless people. So I just want to make sure you understood the officer and none of the other officers in the Wilkes-Barre City Police Department in any way are out in any way to hurt the homeless. Many times they're out there trying to help the homeless. And out of respect for you and what you were saying, I just want to clarify that, okay? That's not happening right now.
I'm not suggesting that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Jasmine Rodriguez?
You said that really good.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Rodriguez. I'm also here today to talk about the issue that our city is facing regarding the homeless. I was also extremely disappointed when I read that article on the Citizen's Voice. And while, I understand, the mayor's point of view, I appreciate that he is trying to expand the shelters. One of the issues that I see is the problem is these housing sweeps, they just don't work. All it ends up doing is moving people from one place to another. We don't have enough shelters in place for everyone there. I'm hearing a lot of misconceptions still that people just want to be there. They just want to be outside. But the problem is, as this gentleman mentioned before, is we have a homelessness crisis in our nation. Our rents have increased. Wages are not keeping up with these increase in rent prices, grocery prices, electric bills and gas bills. I have some data here showing that between 2015 and 2022, the number of renter households paying more than 50% of their income on rent increased by over 12.6%. And so I got this data from the National Alliance to End Homelessness. So, there's a lot of talk about, people just want to be there, but a lot of people just don't have a choice, Maybe they are in medical debt. Maybe they had a tragedy happen to them. We don't know the reasons why somebody is ending up, in Kirby Park versus, in a shelter. There are numerous reasons why. And I just think we need to have a little more compassion for people in that regard. I appreciate that, we're trying to do more short-term solutions, with the shelters, but the reality is we need, long-term solutions, and a big part of that is affordable housing. We've seen across the nation, we have an affordable housing crisis. Rent has increased significantly, housing prices have increased significantly, and this is everywhere, and this is happening here in our city as well. So my question for City Council is, what is being done to address this issue in the long term? So what policies or projects are in place to help alleviate the housing crisis that our city is facing in the long term so that we can help reduce the number of unhoused people that we have? Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. So one of the policies that we have in place is we have a very active Wilkes-Barre Housing Authority that does provide low-income people with housings. You probably have seen some of them along the Wilkes-Barre Boulevard. There are townhomes. There's a high-rise Lincoln Plaza across from the McDonald's. There is a high-rise over on High Street, another one on Scott Street. There's one on Monroe Street by you. And then there's the Section 8 voucher program that the federal government supports, and those vouchers are spread out throughout the city, and for some reason 1,800 is in my mind, but don't really quote me on that. I'll have to go check. That spreads out. So that is definitely one of the policies. Another thing that we have done is we've worked with the Housing Development Corporation out of Lancaster, which is a nonprofit low-income housing agency that has built new homes that are very successful on Dana Street. If you go to Dana Street between Grove and Hazel, there was an old hospital that got knocked down, and then these are brand new houses They have a wonderful community room, great social system in place as well. Can we do more? Absolutely. Now, when it comes for homeless, you probably read in that article, the mission of Keystone Mission is changing to really directly help them instead of just providing the 50 beds, which, by the way, is a block away from here, for during the day. There's a day shelter, but then, of course, at night, they just don't want to do Band-Aids anymore of just housing homeless and a cot. So they now have an active program that to change where they will help you get a job, do the budgeting, get you into housing. They will house you there, and a system, but what I believe is going to be a one-year system that will gradually help them save money and get back into regular housing and employment. So there's various things that are happening over. As you probably know, the Catholic Social Services has a shelter. I know they probably look for volunteers and board members to help. I know Keystone Mission is looking for people to help. Kirby, the Salvation Army, they help families. They have 10 apartments just a block away on the other side of Genetti's, and they have a very active program. They're always looking for people to help them as well. Obviously, there's shelter. We have a great active shelter program for people who are suffering from domestic abuse. There's a shelter for that as well. There's a women's shelter that houses women as well, and Ruth's Place is a wonderful organization run for Volunteers in America. Volunteers in America, by the way, have active crisis counselors that go out and talk to the people in the park to see exactly what they need and to put them in contact with the service providers. So there is a lot of active things that are going on. Okay, next, Linda Joseph.
Can I just add to that? We also have sold city property to like HUD. We've sold it to Marianne Velez's organization where they build houses,
Right, Habitat for
low-income
Humanity.
houses. So any city property, we are willing to do that as well.
Correct.
Hey, Tony, I just want
Thank
to,
you.
just put your microphones up a little closer, because you're talking, but people can't hear it. So
Thank you, Bob.
I'll have to speak a little louder.
Linda Joseph.
Linda Joseph, Wilkes-Barre. I would like to start by thanking Mayor Brown, Controller Tony Thomas, and Councilman Tony Brooks for speaking in support of the residents at the PUC hearing yesterday regarding the UGI rate increase request. In regard to utility bills, I wanted to update you on two programs specifically handled through CEO that can help residents reduce their utility cost in case any of your constituents will come to you. In August of 2023, Luzerne County Council wanted to allow more residents to be able to reduce their utility costs. The state program, LIHEAP, provides help for those at certain lower income levels, leaving anyone making more than around the $20,000 range not eligible through LIHEAP. County Council wanted to give more residents the opportunity to apply for help. So at that time, they approved their ARPA money to help defray the utility costs for residents in the amount of $2.5 million with the Heating and Utility Assistance Program. No one who had already received LIHEAP could apply for this money. That was their regulation. Homeowners would receive a one-time payment of $290 sent directly to their utility company. In 2024, as the program did not attract as many applicants as expected, which I cannot understand, CEO voluntarily gave back $1 million to Luzerne County, keeping $700,000 and extending the deadline to June of this year. Recently, representatives from CEO were our guest speakers at our last Rolling Mill Hill meeting to talk about this program and one other. At our meeting, we learned that County Council also took out the clause that said you could not apply if you already received money through LIHEAP, and anyone could now apply who fell within the changed income levels. I don't know if people are even aware that this restriction was lifted. I did not know, and I follow and do research quite a bit to inform the residents of these type of programs.
County Council changed the income levels, but it doesn't seem it was given enough publicity in relation to stating LIHEAP residents also now being able to apply. So there is help out there. And I hope that both of the newspapers can help get the information to the residents so that they can apply by this June. So far, that is the deadline. The second program that is available, and this is through CEO, is the UGI Utilities CAP program, or Customer Assistance Program. This program actually provides reduced monthly bills based on your income and your average bill. So potentially, their bills could be reduced to a new monthly amount that is much less than it would be if they were paid on the actual usage they're using every month. They would now pay the new calculated month for all 12 months. Applications for both of these programs can be found on the CEO website, and this is for homeowners only, not renters. And I have copies here of the county utility program and their income levels, if anybody wants them to have them in case you do get any questions. But yes, there are programs, and it's a shame that money had to go back that wasn't allocated, that wasn't actually used. And I think that the publicity and the awareness of it is probably something that people aren't always aware of. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for that research. You know, I'll also make a comment about CEO and homelessness. I recently had a friend of mine who ended up being homeless. She ended up in a hotel, and I put her in contact with CEO, and CEO paid for her to get their first month and deposit to get into housing. So CEO also has homeless programs. Basically, they try to work in keeping you in your house before you get there, but then there's also emergency programs that they have as well. Rick Wren?
This is the income guideline for this one.
I think.
Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you today?
Good, sir.
I'm under a different subject, but I was the former Director of Veterans Affairs for Luzerne County. I've worked with all those agencies you talked, but placement of homeless veterans. Mm-hmm. And I think you guys are doing a great job. More things need to be done, of course, but I was on the ground with Vince and all the guys back in the day, getting them out and getting them in housing. So kudos to you guys. Now, I'm here today. I live across from GAR. I've lived there probably 35, 40 years. I'm going to a little bit of history real quick. The school buses would line up right in front of my house. No problem with that. The doors on the buses were on my side of the street, not the school side. That's a violation of the law. It's a safety issue. 5 buses. I called the school district. No help. I called the school. No help. I called the city. I called the state police. I called Frederick Bus Station again and again and again. Nothing. You know when it stopped? When the kid ran across the street and got hit. And then the parents sued and it was settled out of court. That's when they started parking on the other side of the street and opening the doors on the school side. That's what it took. Now, with that said, we're back again. Now, I talked to Stan many times. They're going to be putting some crosswalks in. That's a great idea. It ain't enough. They speed up and down Lehigh Street and South Grant Street and what is it, Sherman Street.
Sherman.
Yeah.
I'm telling you 55, 60 miles an hour sometimes. It's ridiculous. I have to stop before I cross the street so I don't get run over. Those kids don't look. They're crossing that street. Now, GAR kids, when it was a high school, it was a problem. Now you got grade school kids. And we were trying, all the neighbors were talking, stop signs. We wanted a stop sign on South Grant Street and a stop sign on Lehigh Street. You got a 4-way stop without a stop sign. I don't know why. Coming down Lehigh Street, there's no stop sign. They blow right through there. We wanted to put a stop sign across from Noble Lane and South Grant Street. Oh, you can't do that. It's illegal. You can't do that because it's you're trying to slow traffic down. What did they do on Empire Street when they put the stop signs up? Slow down traffic. When I was coaching at Mayflower Little League, we requested that the city put up a stop sign right at Anthracite and Stanton Street because the kids were chasing softball, fall balls. They put it in. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen brakes screeching, and you do that because the kid almost got hit. I see that all the time on South Grant Street. Locking the brakes, and these kids just near misses because they're going up and down. Can't do it. We can't put a stop sign. It's against the state law. There was just an article in the paper, I think, where they were complaining about that. Oh, the state. What does the state have to do with our city streets? If it's Business 309, I get it. So I don't understand the big issue of not being able to put some stop signs in. I don't know why that's so hard. Stan has been. How long you been in, Stan?
Pardon me?
About a year you've been
Yeah, about a year, yeah.
All right. Now, he got something done in a year. I've been complaining. Gilbert, I told her about it. I've called her many times. Somebody's going to get killed. I don't want it in front of my house. I don't want to see it. So.
So you're asking for a stop sign. This is going down Lehigh Street?
Well, if you're coming down Lee Street, right on the corner of Lehigh and South Grant.
Right, Lehigh and South Grant.
Now, Lehigh is a one-way. I get it, but South Grant's a two-way. There's no stop sign there. So they come bailing down Lehigh Street.
So what we need to do around that area, not just GAR, around Heights as well, just because the traffic patterns have changed since the combination of schools. I've been complaining about this. We need to go in front of the traffic committee and maybe try to get a traffic study in that area. That's the only way this problem's, I believe.
Well, crosswalks is a great idea, but those kids play around at school all the time. They climb over the fence, you know.
Right, yeah.
They play football. They're all over that place. Right. And at night, it's dark. And I don't know how many times.
How about?
I mean, I agree with them 110%.
Let's walk with Rick in the neighborhood. We'll walk with you around. Let's get a sense.
And I have some stuff written down that really needs to get done. I mean, Dickie and I have been complaining about this for years.
This is ridiculous. You look at Kings and Wilkes. Oh my God, there's lights blaring all over the place. There's crosswalks, there's bridges, there's yellow.
Yeah, it's time for a change.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's not even crossing guards on Lehigh Street and South Grant Street.
Yeah, it was never updated. GAR was never updated, the area, so it's something, we could, I'll give you a call tomorrow, we'll set something.
And just on a quick sidebar, because I'm not going to take up too much of your time, just on one little quick, the city cemetery.
Yes.
Nobody's done nothing there for over 60 years, and the mayor's up there cleaning that place up, and it looks fantastic. I don't know how many veterans are buried there? How many stones are smashed, and they're replacing them and fixing them? It's about time. And kudos to the mayor and his people for stepping up.
There's 182 Civil War veterans. Score, yeah.
That's strong, guy.
356 in Hollenbach. That's just Civil War. But yeah, you're right. There are so many veterans.
And they were over there taking trees had collapsed on top of the stones. They were removing those.
Even Revolutionary War veterans we have.
Spanish-American War, World War I.
All of them.
All right.
Colored troops. The 54th Massachusetts is buried there.
Is that, it's funny, they actually put that right on the stone.
Yeah,
yep.
they do.
They put CT colored troops right on the stone. Never seen nothing like it.
Yeah.
So, but.
All right, Stan and I will come meet with you. We'll walk around the neighborhood.
Terrific. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dick.
We're here for solutions to problems.
Right.
Thank you. Angel Mathis.
Angel Mathis Wilkes-Barre. I'm just going to say it. How many times did we have this conversation about the homelessness, about affordable housing and all of that? With that said, I'm going to leave it alone, but I'll call you, Mayor, because I got to call you about something. Now, to get to something that I've been actually following since I am currently on the Area Agency on Aging Advisory Board and part of their executive committee. The one thing that I've been looking at is the fact that during with this great Trump administration, the state of Pennsylvania is going to lose $13,003,131 that was basically U.S. aid that was used to feed through TFAP, which is the Emergency Food Program. And the reason I know this is because before I actually joined Aging, I ran a food pantry for well over 7 years. So this means that we will be experiencing more hunger in this area. Because whether you guys know it or not, part of Pennsylvania Food, which is the other feeding program that stocks our lead agency, which is the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Regional Food Bank, comes out of USAID. A portion of it does. So with the cuts that was proposed in the budget, according to Cap 20, between the Department of Agriculture and Health and Human Services, and that includes the Department of Welfare, drug and alcohol, and other HHS entities, do we have anything, or are we preparing for the hurt that's going to come when these funds are cut? Because as I said when I was speaking about Kings, for the state of Pennsylvania, what is proposed is, and this is relative to our region, District 8, the U.S. District 8 is $581,114,817 of cuts in HHS and in Department of Agriculture. And, you know, this year, we're going to fill it in aging, most likely with the farmer's market voucher. And you may fill it with some SNAP cuts as well, because, you know, I don't know whether a lot of city residents know it, but I do. Those who receive SNAP can actually convert their SNAP dollars into farmer market vouchers to support our farmers. Because in this cruel budget that has been passed, it's going to prey and feed off of the less fortunate. As the Bible has said, the poor will always be with us. You know, on the 35 years that I lived in Wilkes-Barre, I've been homeless 4 times. And you guys know I come in here talking about the homeless because, you know, I've experienced homelessness. I've experienced a lot of things. And just as I experienced, you know, unaffordable housing, and I've said things about that, with all the cuts that are coming, are we preparing? Because eventually, rather, let me say this, the blueprint for the Trump administration federal budget, which those dollars are passed down to us, has passed. And there's going to be a lot of cuts and a lot of pain. And, you know, it's like right now, you know, if you have a kid in Wilkes-Barre area school district, they eat for free. I don't expect that to continue because some of the funding that funds school lunches came from USAID. So is the city prepared to take on some of the hurt that we're going to experience? Because, you know, there are people who are very resourceful and will get through this and will be homeless, but like me, they will have a safety net. But what happens to those? Are we preparing for the increase for those, unlike me, who do not have a safety net? And as you guys know, I come before you with all these issues because I see it coming.
Thank you. That's very sober. You know, I volunteer once a month at the food bank at my church, and I see the increase in numbers, you know, every time. And our church is just twice a week that we do it for 2 hours, and within, what do you say, Linda, an hour, it's all gone. If that. Do you have any comments, Mr. Mayor?
Angel, it's a good question. We really don't know yet what's going to happen as far as...
I forgot my other question. Sorry. I'll call you next.
Okay. There's several things that we're concerned about. Naturally, we get federal funding for HUD. Okay. How is that going to be affected? Federal funding for our health department, and we provide services, I mean, across the city of Wilkes-Barre to hundreds of people. How is that going to affect us? We don't know yet. And we don't know yet what cuts are going to affect a lot of the budgetary limitations that we have, okay? We only have so much money, okay, and so much revenue coming in, but I don't know yet because I'm not really sure what's going to happen with some of the cuts. They talk about FEMA. We're lucky that Hurricane Ida, we were reimbursed for the losses during Hurricane Ida, which was millions of dollars. We're lucky about that. Now, looks like that's going to go away.
Right.
And I feel bad for the city of Scranton because they had a flood situation. Probably they're not going to get reimbursed for the damage that was incurred up there. But to answer your question, Angel, we don't know yet. We don't know what's going to happen in D.C., what's going to happen through the president's initiatives as far as cuts, okay? I'm really concerned, and I worry about the HUD financing that we get, and then also financing, like I said, for our health department. Don't know yet. It's too soon to tell. Okay?
Can I just touch on something what she said there? Also, you know, we said Wilkes-Barre area, they give free lunches. They also provide free breakfast as well. And, you know, and I'm afraid in the summertime, you know, that hopefully they could do something about it, right? Yeah, right.
And Stan and I have, you know, started talks about maybe each section getting their own community garden, but obviously that's going to require a lot of work.
A lot of work
It's
and
gonna-
volunteers. Mhm.
Finding a spot, getting volunteers, but we have discussed that that would maybe be a nice option. Okay, perfect.
No, that's good. Sam Troy?
You left.
Bob Katabaski?
Bob Kalaboski back again. Tony, what I was saying about the microphones, you have to speak into them a little bit closer or a little bit louder because people can't hear. So what I'm going to ask you is, I was here the last time about the Route 309 situation. They're not going to have do a traffic study, but I'm wondering if you could write a letter to PennDOT to find out what effects it's going to have on Wilkes-Barre. I did talk to the fire chief. He said he can't do nothing unless there's a meeting that he would attend. And I know it's in the township, but it affects all our intersections. And when they were just talking about up by JR High School, there was just a serious accident today at Park Ave in Lehigh. There's, you know, I guess somebody went through a red light or whatever. And also, I'd like to ask Mr. Belishko if you had a chance to find out about the sewage from the 1 million square foot building, if the sewer line's big enough to handle it, because I don't think it is. I don't know if you've had a meeting yet, but if you didn't, if you could check on that. Do you remember I brought it up?
Talking about the pumping station, weren't you?
Well, no, in other words, they're trying to put a 1 million square foot building up on the other side of Route 81.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there's not enough, as I brought it up many times, when we get heavy rains, the sewer lid blows off by the FOP home about 4 feet up in the air. So if you could find out, because the sanitary authority might be able to help, to either stop that thing or make them put a brand new sewer line in.
Okay.
But when I'm talking about King's College, I know it just irritates me what they did, you know, conspire with the Layton administration and how much money they cost us. And I know they're not going to pay it. I know you're not going to do nothing, but you should try. You should try to make them pay some of our legal fees, because if they didn't get in the conspiracy with the Layton administration and law enforcement on top of it to go after Tom Greco, we would have never had to pay him $2 million. And I believe King's paid him a couple $1 million. That's just my opinion. And I know you aren't going to do nothing, but look what King's is basically taking over the whole downtown. We're losing all that tax money. Every time they buy something, that's less money. Maybe you're going to negotiate with these people. You're going to help them say, how about giving us more money towards the fire, towards the police? And when the people were talking about the homeless thing, I took some heat when I do live action broadcasts down there. The thing that, I mean, they have that beautiful place down there to help the homeless. I like to know how drugs are getting into place, how people are overdosing in there. And I guess you could ask the mayor, maybe he could ask the chief how many times the ambulance is dispatched and the police and the fire department for the drug overdoses. I don't understand. How could they be getting drugs into that place? I think they were just there the other night on 2 supposed overdoses. And that's a shame that we're spending all that money to help these people. How are drugs getting into there? I don't understand it. And to bring up again about that writing to PennDOT, if you could, did you do anything since I was here? Did you make contact with somebody?
I'll talk to you afterwards. I'll tell you what I found out.
Okay, now I know there's no talking from beyond thing, but I see other people do it. But did you notice when you're able to talk to people, how the meeting goes nice and smooth? You know what I mean? And like when I was late today, notice what the hearing yesterday, what they said. They said, if anybody got here late, you're more than welcome to talk. And I think you should extend that courtesy to the taxpayers. Like, I rushed down here and didn't want to get arrested for speeding. I got here as quick as I could and safely. But if somebody gets in here a couple minutes, like, she was more than thrilled that I was not on time. And I seen you looking at me. Well, you were looking, you know. And I think when somebody gets here a little bit late, they should be allowed to talk, especially when they're coming home from work or whatever. And another thing is, when people are coming to these meetings and they know something, they didn't sign in, they should be allowed to talk. And I think you should also look at the work sessions. If somebody knows something, you should let them talk there. So I guess I'll talk to you after the meeting, and we have to do something about Route 309. As a matter of fact, I think they just made a post up there, how deadly that highway is. And at the last council meeting in Wilkes-Barre Township, the police chief said that's like the most dangerous corridor in Luzerne County, but yet they're going to put a 1 million square foot building in. And when I went to the last meeting, a day or two later, there was a very serious accident at the same intersection where I said somebody's going to get killed. Luckily, nobody was hurt bad. So if you could do that, Mike, if you could check on the sewer line, right? Tony, you could talk to me after me. I'll call for an appointment though, please. I'm very busy. And try to speak into your microphones a little bit louder because people really can't hear.
Sorry.
Okay. You're very good.
There we go. Okay, any comments? Any last minute comments? Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you at our next council meeting.
Well, I'm leaving the meeting. I didn't get called out in handcuffs.
Yet.
Handcuffs all greased
Over
up.
yet.
Meeting went pretty smooth.